Let's embark on the Ark Republic to read and hear news just published through professional views. There to keep you in queue. We wanted for these days and time to unfreeze the voices and minds, so let the echo be heard to shine.
Hello and good morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are in the world. I'm Sarah El-Ruby here with the breakdown of this past week's major headlines. For the first time in 2 months, the White House's coronavirus task force, led by Vice President Mike Pence, gave a briefing on Friday. During the briefing, Vice President Pence acknowledged that coronavirus cases are rising rapidly across the American South and parts of California. However, he also said that all 50 states were opening up safely and responsibly, even though Texas and Florida announced that they were going to press pause on reopening because it was no longer safe to do so. Dr. Anthony Fauci also announced that experts were beginning to consider pool testing patients, which would test groups of people at once. If the test returned positive, people in the cluster would be examined individually. The task force was directed to brief the American people by President Trump after 30 states saw an increase in virus cases this week. Last week, Dr. Anthony Fauci testified in front of Congress's House Energy and Commerce Committee on the U.S.'s coronavirus response. Countering President Trump's more positive assessments of the COVID-19 situation in the U.S., Dr. Fauci told committee members that there were disturbing surges of infections across the nation due to states' decisions to reopen prematurely and people's failure to abide by social distancing guidelines. The hearing came as the country still grapples with high transmission rates and a lack of testing and contact tracers to track down and isolate people who have contracted the virus.
Flight 259, have a safe departure. Good day.
During a news conference on Wednesday, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo announced that New York State would join Connecticut and New Jersey in implementing a joint travel advisory that would require people coming into the tri-state area from states where COVID-19 transmission has accelerated significantly to quarantine for 14 days upon arrival. So far, the states on the list include Arizona, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, North and South Carolina, Texas, Utah, and Washington. Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced on Friday that bars would have to shut down and restaurants would have to open at 50% capacity, a day after he paused the state's reopening after a dramatic spike in coronavirus cases prompted the governor to roll back his plans to return to normalcy. Governor Abbott also ordered hospitals in hard-hit counties to postpone elective surgeries in order to free up space for incoming coronavirus patients and recommended that residents stay home. Abbott was among the first wave of governors to lift restrictions when he began opening Texas businesses in phases in May, at the height of the pandemic. However, since the beginning of June, Texas's cases have been increasing rapidly, with more than 5,000 new cases reported daily this week alone. If you are planning to travel to Europe during the summer, you may want to rethink your plans. The EU announced Friday that when it reopens its external borders on July 1st, it will bar American travelers, citing the nation's failure to contain the coronavirus outbreak. The United States, which has surpassed 2 million recorded cases and has had over 120,000 deaths thus far, was not on the EU's list of safe countries. The EU's decision comes as a stinging rebuke against the Trump administration, which decided to close the U.S.'s borders to EU countries in the Schengen border-free zone at the height of the pandemic in Europe in March. If you live in New York City, you know that since the beginning of June, there have been fireworks going off in all 5 boroughs till as late as 3 or 4 a.m. every single night. After receiving over 12,000 complaints from residents, Mayor Bill de Blasio announced on Tuesday that he would create a task force consisting of 10 police officers, 12 fire marshals, and 20 investigators targeting out-of-state sellers supplying people with illegal fireworks. There have also been reports of them going off in cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco. While it's normal to hear them frequently at this time of year, especially with the 4th of July right around the corner, these displays have kicked off earlier than usual, raising suspicions about why they've been going off in the first place.
24th of this year, local real estate agent Dr. Melissa Noland-Chester went on Facebook Live to broadcast how she and dozens of volunteers were ordered to shut down a farm share that provided food to local needy families.
Hello, Facebook Live. I am in Quincy, Florida, Gaston County. We have been out here since 8 o'clock this morning with a farm share. We're out here in Quincy, Florida at a farm share. They let us work from 8 a.m. They let us pack up all this food, let people get in line to get served, only to shut the farm share down. We have been out here working hours, bagging up food, and now they're saying that we cannot serve the food when farm shares are happening all across the country. Let me show you what we have been doing out here, and let me show you the police making us leave here in Gaston County. Where are you, Senator Lawson? This is your hometown. Where are you? Where are you when they're not letting us feed people who need feed? This is me and my team did this ourselves. Three women worked on these boxes. We bought popcorn and cereal. We have strawberries. We have chicken. We have milk. We have juice. Look at this, guys.
Ark Republic reached out to Dr. Noland-Chester to see her side of the story. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us. I know you've been very busy. How are you doing?
Girl, like I tell people, I'm built for this. Like they have to understand. My husband's from middle class. He's from upper middle class. You know, he went to private school. I'm from the projects in Daytona. I've dealt with a lot of trauma in my life. So this they don't understand. This is child's play for me. Mm-hmm. I'm not that one, and they will quickly realize that. It's that backwoods mentality. I was telling my husband, it reminds me of like they almost have adopted the slave master's mentality. Like, you know, oh, you're not from around here, get from around. You know, we handling out. We handling our business. No, you're not. Obviously. The fact that I'm not from there, you think because I'm not from there, I don't get to call out your wrongdoing, you stupid.
Okay, so can you play back exactly what happened on that day in Quincy, Florida? Explain the chain of events, and now what you know is what caused for the farm share to be shut down.
Mr. Larry Simmons, and his wife's name is Janice Simmons. Janice is running for clerk of court. So she's running for clerk of court, and they have a nonprofit. They do a lot of work with youth. I think it's called Living Stone International is the name of their nonprofit. And that's actually who was sponsoring the farm share. My husband and Larry are friends. They've done, you know, my husband has donated to the youth programs that they have, you know, sent money, et cetera. And he invited my husband to come and assist with the farm share that was happening in Quincy because we were going to be in Tallahassee anyway. We did one on Friday in Tallahassee. With another friend of ours who has a nonprofit. And so he's like, yeah, you guys should come and assist with us in Quincy on Saturday. Something that I guess for months he's been planning, even amidst the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. It had already been confirmed. The city was well aware that it was happening. The city had actually had 2 farm shares just that week. So it's not like this was just something that just popped up out of the air. So, you know, that was why there was confusion. When we got there, like I said on the video, we got there around 7:15, 7:30. The truck came about 7:45 a.m. and we all went to work. The police came about an hour later. You know, they came over. Hey guys, just let you know we're here. We're going to be patrolling the area. We'll be, you know, if traffic starts, we'll help with that. It's pretty much like, you know, we'll be here if you need us, you know, any kind of help you need. So we're like, okay, cool. So there, one is posted, you know, trying to conduct traffic. We already have cars lined up on the business side of the street because they own a business there. They own a former skating rink. It's called Patches Skating Rink is where it was held. Mm-hmm. That's where they had just actually done a food lunch program giveaway on that Thursday, this previous Thursday. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, again, it's a spot where they give out food anyway. It's not anything new. Mm-hmm. So nothing new under the sun. And so they allowed us to work from about 7:45 a.m. And then at 10:20, they came over and said, shut it down. Hey, we got to shut this down. We were like, huh? The lady from Farm Share, the representative from Farm Share, because what happens is the truck drops the food off, the truck leaves. The truck does not come back until after the Farm Share is over to collect the pallets and the recyclables. So the Farm Share truck left. So we were about 3/4 of the way finished, bagging all this food, 16,000 pounds of food. Mm-hmm. Enough to feed between 500 to 700 families. So, we're almost finished bagging this food, about to start at 11, and they come over and tell us to wrap it up. People have been in line since 6 a.m. waiting to be fed. We've been working for almost 3 hours, and out of the blue, you're telling us it's canceled. They're like, and then the lady was like, the farm share lady, her name is JC. She works for Farm Share. Tells them all the time. Had just had to that week. She said, no, here's our letter from We're Confused. Here's our letter, it's stating that, farm shares are deemed necessary by the governor. We're part of the emergency management services. We don't care. Our superior said you got to shut it down. So it's got to be shut down. So we go from preparing to put food in trunks to now it's a mad rush to just try to salvage the food and do something with it because, again, the truck wasn't there. And so, we just told volunteers, hey, put the food in your trucks and your trunks of your car. You're going to have to just take the food to people that are in need. And so it became kind of somewhat of a madhouse because the people who were in line, some of them, left their cars to come run up and get some food because the police would turn them around like, hey, get away from here.
I also heard one of the officers in the background when you were on Facebook Live threatening to arrest people. Was that a real officer?
Oh, yeah. Oh, if you listen to the live, they're telling us like, yeah, like they would get away, like don't part. Like it was rough. Yeah.
So essentially they went from helpful to hostile.
Well, and I can honestly say the police, they were firm. Like it was really only one that was really hostile, which was surprising. That was the black one. There was only one black male out there. The others were white. They were firm, but they weren't rude. I'll say that. They weren't necessarily rude, but they were firm. Like, hey, you got to go. We're going to have to arrest you if not. But they still were not like rude with it. They were still, they were following orders. They're like, listen, we're following orders. A couple of the police helped some people carry some stuff to their car. Like he saw one lady struggling, one Mexican-American woman struggling with the food. So he carried it to her car for her. So, they were being firm, but there was one that was like, hey, Moody, you got to move these. Yeah. Like you said, if you listen to the video, you'll hear him tell them to move or, don't make me arrest you or whatever. So
in the video, it was assumed or alleged that shut this farm share down were possibly the mayor and the chief of police.
Just the city manager, the mayor, and the chief of police. Those are the three players in this. Unbeknownst to me, so after we scrambled up and we got everything all gone, packed up, and now my husband and I are delivering food because I'm getting messages in my inbox like, hey, can you bring some of the food over here? I live in Quincy. So we went to a couple of projects in the area because, again, we're not from the area, but they gave us their addresses and we delivered to 2 projects. So after we finished, I was like, well, let's ride back over there, and just see what's going on. Police news reporter called me and said, hey, can I meet you over there? I'm like, sure. And I asked you some questions. So when we pull up, unbeknownst to me at the time, there are these 2 gentlemen there, heavyset dark-skinned guy, a slim dark-skinned guy, and they're talking to the original organizer like, yeah, man, they say we didn't know about it. Nobody knew about it. You gotta let people know about it. And he's like, man, y'all knew about this. And they're talking, they're having a conversation. At this time, I'm not aware of who these people are. So when the news reporter pulls up and there's another lady there, I think they said her name was Brenda Holt. I heard she was a commissioner, so didn't know who she was either. When she introduced herself to me, she introduced herself to me as a pastor. But I was later told she's actually one of the commissioners also. So all of them show up after everything is over. Nobody came during the melee. Nobody came during the debacle. That's why I was like, hey, leadership. That's why on the video, I'm steady saying, somebody please call and stop this. Right this wrong. Like, you guys can still stop this. We can still have this farm share. They all showed up after all the food is gone, after all the smoke is cleared. And they're just, laughing and all casual about it. At the time, again, I'm not sure who they are. So when the reporter pulls up and the young lady says, oh, there's no store here. I said, there most definitely is a store here. And I go across the street. She comes over across the street. It's a political ploy. First off, woman, I didn't cancel the food share. So she and I have we exchange words. And she says, you got your little Chester shirt on, vote for Chester shirt on. And I, had some words with her about that.
What Dr. Noland-Chester is talking about is her husband, Albert Chester II, who is currently running for U.S. Congress in the 5th District in Florida. He is up against veteran Congressperson Al Lawson, who he will go up against August 18th in the Florida primaries.
And I told as a woman of God, the way in which you're even speaking and approaching me, that's why people are not going into the church houses now. Oh, don't let me influence your, oh, you can't influence my relationship with God, but I'm telling you, because you're nobody, you woman of God, because I was like, you just introduced yourself to me as a woman of God. But the way in which you're coming at me aggressively and very derogatorily, you really need to check that. I apologize. No, don't apologize. I said, don't be sorry. Be careful next time, because I'm not that one. So again, at this time, Kaya, I don't even know who these people are. So we end up leaving. We're back in Jax now, and I get inboxes. I get an influx of inboxes from residents saying, screenshot it saying, hey, this is not right what they're doing to you. This is what they're over there saying. The mayor and the mayor pro tem, the mayor is Keith Dowdell. The mayor pro tem is some guy named Ronte Harris. Mm-hmm. Now this was a political stunt by the Chester for Congress. Yeah, now they're making it about us. It was a stunt on our part. They were doing this for attention and for vote. We were doing what? I went live to show what you all did, but okay, we'll play this game. So they're slandering my name. She's making inflammatory statements and and like I said, some residents shared it with me. And me being the woman that I am, I went right on both of their pages and I said, since you have my name in your mouth, let me address it. And I went through 1, 2, 3, and I addressed it. And the pro tem, he's going back and forth and And I was like, listen. And that's when I found out that the mayor was actually there and the young lady was a commissioner. And I'm like, you all had nothing to say to me there. Nothing. That's why the third video where you heard me say, hey, I was in your face. And pretty much the language was, we're strangers. Don't listen to us because we're not from Quincy. And I explained to the pro tem and the mayor that you sound like a molester when someone knows that you're molesting a child and you say, don't worry about it, family's going to handle it. That's what you sound like. We'll handle it within the family. No, you've been molesting the family. You've been molesting the family member for quite a while. And what we're going to do is shine some lights on it. And so I've been getting, an influx of messages just from citizens who are supporting us and just saying, thank you for doing this. You guys don't know how hard it is living here. I mean, one lady said she's been living there for 60 years. Another one's like they've been there for 11 months. Another one's like they've been there for 18 years. And everyone is saying that it's just like this horrible leadership. And unfortunately, the leadership is all Black. It's a 90% Black city, and all of their leadership is Black.
So, Dr. Noland-Chester, what was the leadership in Quincy, Florida's official reason for shutting down the farm share?
You're saying that it's because you didn't know about it, but you were out here helping us. So if the police don't know about it, why are you helping us direct traffic? Why are you here at 8 o'clock in the morning if you don't know about it? That's strange. 2, then they tried to say it was because of complaints. There was one, we spoke with neighbors. And they pointed to me like, that's the lady that called. No, we didn't call. We were coming to get some food. That's the lady that called. And I went and spoke with the lady on the line. And her complaint was, y'all didn't tell me about it. I've been living here almost 30 years. Nobody bothered to come knock on my door and tell me about it. One woman cannot cancel a farm share. These people showed them documentation and they said they didn't care. So even farm share was confused to the point of where farm share put out a statement saying, they were aware of this. This isn't something they weren't aware of. So we're not sure what happened.
What are your thoughts about them shutting down a farm share for people to get food at this moment?
Quincy already has it's a very high poverty area anyway. If you look up Quincy and look at some of their stats, like they're one of the poorest counties in the country. Like it's a very high need area. And so with that being said, I mean, it's only gotten worse, like you said, because of the coronavirus, because of people being laid off. A lot of jobs there, things aren't open. A lot of people have been laid off, furloughed, put on pause. So definitely an increase in need. And that's why it was, like I said, it was so frustrating. The calls and the texts and the messenger inboxes I was getting, like I was inundated. I'm still going through some of those, like answering them like, I'm so sorry, I'm just seeing this, where people were like, hey, can you bring some of that food over here? Can you please bring us a couple of bags of food? And I'm just seeing it because I had so many in my inbox and we tried to answer as many as we could. like I said, we've gotten an influx of messages and calls and friend requests and, just different people saying like, you just don't know how bad it is here. Like it's unfortunate, but it's a little rough in Quincy, I guess, as it relates to that political landscape.
This is Kaya Nyambi Shivers with Ark Republic.